Carnatic music is the classical music of South India. A typical Carnatic music concert may last anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. The main performer is seated in the middle of the stage. The accompanying musicians face the main performer so that the improvisation can happen seamlessly. The main performer is free to choose any note as his or her fundamental. Other musicians tune their instruments to the main performer's fundamental. The violin's continuity in tone and ability to reproduce the tune to a great deal of precision have made it the most preferred melodic accompanying instrument. The Mrudangam is the chief percussion instrument, supported by Ghatam, the Kanjira or Morsing. Every musician trains his or her voice to reach a range of 2 to 3 octaves relative to his or her chosen fundamental. The 7 notes are known as swarams. The spontaneous improvisation and interaction between the artists makes a Carnatic music concert a very exciting experience. We will be performing 10 pieces starting from the Varnam to the Mangalam. We can get to pick a representative sample in terms of variety in the melody or ragas, the rhythm or the thalas, the composers, the language, the tempo of the compositions, the time period in which they were composed, and so on. But really there's just so much of incredible variation from one concert to another. On the violin, we have S Ananthkrishnan. This posture enables him to sit cross-legged on stage. This shows how successfully the violin has been adapted to Carnatic music. On the Mrudangam is Erode Nagaraj, the two-headed drum, with one side providing the bass sound and the other side providing the treble sound. Providing the support on the drone is Mrs. Girija Kumar. This Tambura sound helps all the performers sustain the same fundamental note. Varnam acts as the concert opener. The Varnam is a pretty complex musical form. The Aditala is the most commonly found tala in Carnatic music. When we sing the Varnam, in the first half, we do what is known as rendu kalai, where every beat is repeated so that it becomes a slow 16-beat cycle. A student of Carnatic music can develop vocal fluency as well as rhythmic control. Now here comes the akaram. This time in tanam format. Suruti is classified as a janya of the 28th Melakarta Raga. It is also sometimes performed towards the end of the concert. This Varnam is in Telugu language. Pallavi Gopalayar was an 18th century composer who lived in the court of the Tanjavur kings. Yento three-piece musical form which consists of the opening segment called the Pallavi, The Pallavi acts as a refrain and is repeated after the second and third segments. The second segment of the composition is known as the Anupallavi, and the third segment, which is often the longest segment in the composition, is known as the Charanam. In this composition, as is the case of many Kritis, the last two lines of the Charanam are sung in the same tune as the Anupallavi. Sri Ranjini is an example of a Shadava Raga. It is classified as a Janya of the 22nd Melakarta Raga. The absence of this pa contributes a lot to the melodic appeal of this raga. This ability to find similarities in the tune is a very important skill that many rasikas or listeners of Carnatic music acquire over time. Soga suga mridanga talamu broche vare vare ninu vina ini oru kanam une marave. This song, Gajavadana, has been composed in Tamil language. Papanasam Shivan is a versatile composer who also scored for Indian Tamil language films. Many of the lines are actually repeated with melodic embellishments. These embellishments are commonly referred to as Sangatis. Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Gajavadana Karuna Sadana. Sangatis are taught by guru or teacher to the student. Sama Edippu, with the music coinciding with the rhythm. Anahata Edippu, where the rhythm starts before the melody starts. Gajavadana. Atita Edippu, where the melody begins before the rhythm does. Shankaravala. The vocalization of solfa note passages in a very spontaneous fashion. Kalpanaswarams can be performed for any line of the composition. So I have chosen the second line of the Anupallavi, which has the words Pankaja Charana. One of the reasons that I chose this line is because it has the Atita Edippu. Singing the Kalpanaswarams for that point is a challenging thing for the musician to do. You will see that the violinist and I take turns to perform the Kalpanaswarams in rounds. The Tambura player will avoid playing the pa string. This is avoided for compositions which are set to ragas that do not have the pa or panchamam. I will start singing in a free-flowing manner with the aim that the Kalpanaswarams should end at the starting point of the word Pankaja Charana. Pankaja Charana Dani 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 Dama Dani Pankaja Charana. The tradition is to start off with a short round of Kalpanaswarams and make them progressively longer. Gajavadana Karuna Sadana Jana Marendranu Muni Varum Padiyum Rigamadani Pankaja Charana Sharanam. Manida Magari Rigamadani Daya Rizani Dani Rizani Damadani Damagada Nida Magama Garizani Darizani Damagadani Pankaja Charana Charanam Charanam Shri Gajavadana Niye Muvulagir Kadaram. He or she should not sacrifice the melodic appeal while performing the calculation. The second and sometimes the third items are quick, fast, simpler pieces. The idea is to warm up to the concert and listen with interest. This song, Gopa Kumara, has an interesting mix of tempo. Each segment of the composition ends with a Madhyama Kala segment. The tune for the opening line of the Pallavi, Anupallavi and Charanam has been set to more or less the same. And this is an interesting compositional technique. Every charanam of the composition, as also the Anupallavi, begins with the words Shobha Sharira. The composer describes Lord Krishna using many beautiful adjectives in Sanskrit language. Raga Atana is classified as a janya or child raga of the 29th Melakarta. The raga Atana has a very strong flavor. The composer composed on many deities, his favorite being the dancing Lord Krishna. His songs are highly descriptive, which is why he is often referred to as Kavi or poet. Anupama guna bhudi brihaspate khelati mama hridaye Rama shema ganapatim bhajeham. An alapana aims to bring out the salient aspects of the raga with a mix of slow and fast passages. This raga Atana is particularly suited for faster passages, phrases with the Kakali Nishada or Ni 3. Phrases with the Kaisiki Nishada or Ni 2. Now I'm going to mix the two Nis. It is customary to include one or two slow, majestic compositions. This song is a highly philosophical composition that was composed by Tyagaraja during the last years of his life. Vagadishwari is the 34th of the 72 parent ragas. The Re3 or Shatshruti Rishabham is known as a Vivadi Swara. Not too many compositions exist in this raga. Tyagaraja, along with his 18th century contemporaries Muthuswami Dikshitar and Shyama Shastri, are together known as the Trinity, the greatest contributors to the development of the art form to its current state. Paramatmudu Velige is a colloquial form of Telugu language. Concert is the main piece of the concert. On Deepavali day, Muthuswami Dikshitar left his mortal coils and departed for his heavenly abode as his disciples were performing this composition. The composition will be preceded by the Alapana. After that, we will all perform the composition together. Neraval, an interesting improvisation where a given line of song is taken and different melodic embellishments are given. Following the Neraval will be the Kalpanaswarams. The Dikshitar school had its own unique way of naming the ragas, and many of the ragas differ considerably. In Gamaka Kriya, the phrase Pada Sa is considered as permissible, while in Purvi Kalyani it is typically sung as Pada Pasa. This raga Purvi Kalyani is classified as a janya of the 53rd Melakarta raga. Muthuswami Dikshitha. His compositions are highly interdisciplinary, very often integrating elements of North Indian classical music, from Advaita, from mantras or scriptures, verses. He used the term Guru Guha, referring to Lord Mrudangam as his signature term. Alapanas can be a few minutes long to several minutes long, and usually they start in a slow introspective manner, and the phrases become quicker and move to the higher notes as the alapana develops. This creates an interesting crescendo effect. The terms ta, da, ri, na, na are used to provide grip to the alapana. As I reach the sa or the shadjam in the higher octave, which is the fundamental note, I will sustain it for a long time. This creates an effect which is known as vishranti. It is a form of improvisation where a line of lyric from a composition is taken. The underlying rhythmic structure of the line is kept more or less intact, and the performer changes the melody of that line in a very spontaneous and extempore manner. It should be remembered again that the speed or tempo of the tala or rhythm is kept constant, and it's the music that moves from slow to intermediate to fast tempo. I've also tried to incorporate some calculations and interesting finishes to the Kalpana swarams. There is also a little pun here. Sada in Sanskrit language means forever, and so we can construe it as Sada Madura Puri Nilaye. The last round of Kalpana swarams has been done very elaborately with a technique known as koraippu. The first round will be a few cycles long, then it becomes one cycle, half cycle, quarter cycle, and so on. And then we perform together to create a crescendo-like effect. Following the koraippu is the main calculation, which is known as the korvai, which literally means concatenation. The same underlying rhythm is repeated in 3 different ways melodically to create a very exciting finish. We have the Tani Avardhanam, in which he showed different aspects of this aditala. Between 2 heavy pieces, it is common to feature a quick, light, fast piece to keep the audience on their toes. We will be featuring a composition of Purandaradasa, the 15th century composer, who is hailed as the father of Carnatic music. Composition belongs to a category known as Devarnama, which literally means name of God. It's Raga Malaya Marutam. It's an example of a Shadava Raga. This Raga Malaya Marutam is classified as a Janya of the 16th Mela Chakravakam. The absence of the Ma and the presence of the Shuddha Rishabham gives this Raga an interesting feel of pathos. When we remove the re from this Raga, we get Raga Valaji, which is considered to be a very sprightly and upbeat sounding Raga. Merely changing one swara in the Raga can produce a very contrasting effect. Second main piece, the Ragam Tanam Pallavi, is a completely improvised piece which is very often considered as a highlight of a Carnatic music performance. The first stage is the Ragam or the Alapana. The second segment is the Tanam. The third segment is the Pallavi itself, one line composition. The Ma falls on the beat that comes in the middle of the cycle. The technical term for this is known as Arudi, and this is one of the critical components of a Pallavi, is Dhanyasi. It is an example of an Audava Sampurna Raga. It is classified as a Janya of the 8th Mela Todi. A few well-known compositions in this Raga are Krishnan Padamalar Paradevata Meenaya Lochana Brova கடை கண்வை தென்னை ஆழம் சுந்தரி சங்கரி கௌரி கடை கண்வை தென்னை ஆழம் first stage is where the main structure is sung. We will get into the neraval of the Pallavi. Comes a very interesting aspect of the Pallavi, which is known as the Trikalam, or the three-speed rendition of the Pallavi. We will perform Kalpanaswarams. Sometimes in Pallavis, other variations such as singing in a string of different ragas, which is known as the Raga Malika, are also done. The Kummi is a very specific type of dance which consists of a series of simple claps and movements, and it is customarily performed in the state of Tamil Nadu in South India. And the Kummi song is a folkish kind of song that goes with the Kummi dance. Many of the listeners look forward to these lighter numbers known as Tukkadas at the end of the concert. This song has been performed in Madhyama Shruti. So this is my original fundamental. Sa. Now moving up to the Ma. Ma. I am making this the new Sa. Sa. And it has been set to the 4-beat Ekatala cycle, set to the Tisra Gati, where each beat is subdivided into 3 components. Viruttam, which is a free-flowing form of improvisation, in many ways similar to the Alapana, but the difference being that the Viruttam is set to lyric. This particular Viruttam's lyric was composed by Tiruppan Alvar. This is on God Vishnu in the temple town of Srirangam. This Viruttam is an example of a Raga Malika. The 2 ragas that have been chosen for the Viruttam today are Mohanam and Brindavani. The Mohanam Raga is one of the most popular pentatonic scales in world music. Brindavani, which is a raga common to both North Indian as well as South Indian classical music. It is typical to follow the Viruttam with a composition in the same raga on the same deity. A Tilana, which is a musical form that contains an exciting mix of lyrics, sulfur note passages, jati or passages involving rhythmic syllables. Tilanas are also very popular as a musical form for Bharatanatyam. There is a line in this tilana which is the equivalent of a palindrome in music. Ni sa re ma pa ni ma pa ni sa re re za ni ba ma re za ni. If you write down this line on a piece of paper and read it backwards, you will find that the notes are the same. This shows a great deal of thoughtfulness and versatility on the part of the composer. கொண்டல் வண்ணனை அண்டர் கோனணியரங்கம் ததீம் வேரனாம் தாம் தகிட ததீம் தோம் தகிட ததீம் The Mangalam is a piece that is associated with prosperity and auspiciousness. The most commonly heard Mangalam is the concluding piece of Tyagaraja's musical drama, the Prahlada Bhakti Vijayam. The Raga Saurashtram has a unique attribute in the sense that many times a concert begins with this raga. It is also a raga that is often heard at the end of the concert. It is an example of a Bhashanga raga or a raga that employs an alien note. It is classified as a janya of the 17th Mela Suryakantam, the alien note or Anyaswaram being the Kaisiki Nishadam or Ni2.